The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
In a few moments, the news.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
.45, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundhi Thavam. The President appoints a team of economic experts to advise on the debt crisis. The Leader of the House, Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, said that the government is taking measures to solve problems democratically. Investment proposals worth $1,412 million have been received in the first quarter of this year. 2 shipments of fuel have been delivered to Sri Lanka in the last 24 hours under the Indian credit line. The public health inspectors commence inspecting the food stalls and food processing factories targeting the upcoming festive season. The Asian Development Bank says that Sri Lanka's economic growth will be 2.4% this year. In world news, Ukraine war, Putin's daughters targeted by US sanctions. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed a team of eminent economic and fiscal experts as members of the Presidential Advisory Group on Multilateral Engagement and Debt Sustainability. Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, former Governor, Central Bank of Sri Lanka, and former Director, Economic Affairs Division of the Commonwealth Secretariat, Professor Shantha Devarajan, Professor of the Practice of Development, Georgetown University, and former Chief Economist, World Bank, and Dr. Shamini Kure, former Director, the Institute of Capacity Development of the IMF Institute, and former Deputy Director, Africa Department, IMF, have been appointed as the members of the advisory group. Since the appointment of the Presidential Advisory Group, the members have had a round of discussions with the President on key matters in going forward with the IMF program and continue to be in regular communication with related requirements, the President's Media Division said in a release. Among the responsibilities that the Presidential Advisory Group will undertake is to engage in discussions with relevant Sri Lankan institutions and officials engaging with the IMF and to provide guidance that will address the present debt crisis and lead towards sustainable and inclusive recovery for Sri Lanka. A debate took place yesterday in Parliament about the present situation in the country. The Leader of the House, Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, said that the government is taking measures to solve the problems democratically. He said that the Speaker has commenced discussions with party leaders. The emergency law has been revoked. Replying to questions of the opposition leader, the Speaker said in Parliament yesterday that there is no continuing emergency law or curfew. He said that the government is taking steps to protect the lives of the people and requested the opposition to act with responsibility. MP Bandula Gunawardena said that there is a financial crisis at present and the Parliament cannot step out of the issue. Foreign reserves have decreased in 2016 as well. As a result, there was a crisis in paying debt and interest. The economy collapsed due to the closure of the country for 1 year amid the pandemic. MP Gunawardena said that as a result, revenue avenues such as the tourism industry, which brings dollars, were blocked. Speaking in Parliament, Venerable Athurele Ratanathera said that an independent political force should be built as a solution to the present crisis. MP Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said that problems should be solved without being divided on political party lines. He said that not only politicians, but the public service and the judiciary should also be held responsible for the present situation. Parliamentarian J.C. Alavatuvala requested to listen to the problems of the people without suppressing them. He said it is important to provide solutions by understanding the true problem in the country. MP Prasanna Ranatunga said that from the past conspiracies were launched when a leader suitable to the country came to power. He pointed out that 6.9 million people have voted for the present president. He further said that although such incidents occurred during the rule of former President J.R. Jayawardena, he did not resign. MP Dasiri Jasekar has emphasised the best place to get solutions to the problems is Parliament. He said that there is no result of conducting protests on roads. He further said if an election is held at present, no one in Parliament will get re-elected. The High Commissioner of India in Colombo says 2 shipments of fuel have been delivered to Sri Lanka in the last 24 hours under the Indian credit line. These consignments contained 36,000 metric tons of petrol and 40,000 metric tons of diesel. Taking to its official Twitter account, the High Commission stated that this brings the total supply of various types of fuel Sri Lanka received under Indian assistance to more than 270,000 metric tons. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
The public health inspectors commenced inspecting the food stalls and food processing factories targeting the upcoming festive season. The president of the PHI's union, Upul Rohana, says that this process commenced on the 1st of last month. Legal action was taken against more than 400 shops at present. He requested the general public to check the expiry date and the quality of the food when purchasing food items. He urges the public to inform the relevant PHI in the area if there is any complaint. The Asian Development Bank says that Sri Lanka's economic growth will be 2.4% this year. The bank said factors including the corona pandemic, foreign exchange shortage and debt payments have led to the situation. The bank further said that Sri Lanka will achieve an economic growth of 2.5% next year. And that concludes local news.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honour our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi 60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
On to the main news story. The Board of Investment yesterday announced that it has received 33 investment proposals worth $1,412 million in the first quarter of this year. This value includes investments of 22 new projects into diverse sectors, in energy projects, including fuel and renewable sources, heavy industry, logistic and IT infrastructure sectors, as well as investments into 11 project expansions. The number of new investment proposals received in the first quarter of 2022 has shown an 80% increase over the corresponding period of the year 2021. In addition, during the first 3 months of the year, the BOI has signed agreements worth $765 million with several leading investors, doubling the number of agreements signed for new investments during the first quarter of 2021. That was the main news story.
Watch Life is brought to you by
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
The Railway Department has cautioned motorists and pedestrians to be watchful when using the railway crossings during the power cuts where the railway gates do not function. Railway Superintendent of Transportation ADG Seniviratna said the majority of the railway crossings are equipped with bell and light which are operated by electricity. And that came to you in Watchlight.
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Making world news headlines this morning, Ukraine war, Putin's daughters targeted by US sanctions. First dinosaur fossil linked to asteroid strike. And Ed Sheeran condemns baseless copyright claims. The US has imposed sanctions against Russian President Vladimir Putin's inner circle, including his daughters. The list also includes the family of Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and major banks. The measures follow new revelations of atrocities by Russian troops in Ukraine, including images of bodies of civilians scattered on the streets of Bucha near the capital Kyiv. Russia says without evidence the images are staged by Kyiv officials. Scientists have presented a stunningly preserved leg of a dinosaur. The limb, complete with skin, is just one of a series of remarkable finds emerging from the Tanis fossil site in the U.S. state of North Dakota. But it's just not their exquisite condition that's turning heads, it's what these ancient specimens purport to represent. The claim is that Tanis creatures were killed and entombed on the actual day a giant asteroid struck Earth. The day 66 million years ago, when the reign of the dinosaurs ended and the rise of mammals began. Very few dinosaur remains have been kept in the rocks that record even the final few thousand years before the impact. To have a specimen from the cataclysm itself would be extraordinary. Ed Sheeran has warned that pop stars should not be allowed to be easy targets for copyright claims after winning his court battle with the writers of a song they claimed he had plagiarized. A High Court judge ruled that the singer had not copied part of his hit Shape of You from OY by Sammy Chokri. That prompted Sheeran to declare on Instagram, quote, "I hope that ruling means in the future baseless claims like this can be avoided. This really does have to end," unquote. The case was not the first time Sheeran has faced a copyright claim, and many other stars have also been involved in high-profile disputes in recent years. Back to the headlines of the world news. Ukraine war, Putin's daughters targeted by US sanctions. First dinosaur fossil linked to asteroid strike. And Ed Sheeran condemns baseless copyright claims. That concludes this bulletin of world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, friendly leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by... Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Assuring that Sri Lanka is safe and open for international tourists, Sri Lanka Tourism says it is navigating the current macro-environmental conditions in the country with great care, taking all necessary measures to ensure continuity of regular operations with minimum interruptions. In this regard, a special operations unit has been set up within Sri Lanka Tourism to facilitate with all required assistance for tourists who are already in Sri Lanka and to provide accurate information for potential visitors planning visits to Sri Lanka, and came to you in Development News.
Development News was brought to you by... The coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Sports News is brought to you by...
Sampath Bank, we present your future.
Chelsea's hold of the Champions League hangs precariously after Karim Benzema's hat-trick put Real Madrid in a position of power following the quarter-final first leg at Stamford Bridge. Real coach Carlo Ancelotti made a winning return to the club, where he won the Premier League and FA Cup double after veteran France striker Benzema delivered his latest masterclass. Benzema, 34 and fresh from the treble that sunk Paris Saint-Germain in the last 16, punished holders Chelsea with two magnificent headers in the space of 3 minutes midway through the first half. That's sports news. We'll look at business news next.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lankan Airlines is geared up for a busy summer 2022 by increasing the number of scheduled flights by 40% to match pre-pandemic levels and meet the growing demand for air travel as the industry continues to recover. The frequency increases will come into effect across Sri Lanka's network of online destinations, with the start of the airline's summer flight schedule. The new schedule will facilitate smooth operations for the airline and offer customers greater flexibility, convenience and connectivity. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
On to economic news, Oral Corporation has offered businesses and the public the opportunity to lease solar energy, thereby setting a new trend of enabling a viable energy solution at a minimal cost. Through this offer, the customers will not have to pay the high upfront costs generally incurred for solar equipment and installations, but still enjoy the same benefits as that of a solar power user. And on to the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places over most parts of the island during the evening or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the central, Sabaragamuwa, southern, Uva and eastern provinces and in the Polonnaruwa district. On the apparent northward relative motion of the sun, it is going to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka during the 5th to the 15th of April this year. The nearest areas of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead today are Mount Lavinia, Boralesgamuwa, Kottava, Bope, Maskalia, Gurutalava and Vadikumbara at about 13 noon. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President appoints a team of economic experts to advise on the debt crisis. The Leader of the House, Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, said that the government is taking measures to solve problems democratically. Investment proposals worth $1,412 million received in the first quarter of this year. 2 shipments of fuel have been delivered to Sri Lanka in the last 24 hours under the Indian credit line. The public health inspectors commence inspecting the food stalls and food processing factories targeting the upcoming festive season. The Asian Development Bank says that Sri Lanka's economic growth will be 2.4% this year. And Ukraine war, Putin's daughters targeted by US sanctions. That concludes this morning's news broadcast, and now it's back to your hostess, Geethanjali Ramanayaka, to keep you entertained.